He told me, he told Puff, he never mentioned a damn thing to Big. As his label mate, he had an obligation. As a fellow New Yorker, he had an obligation to tell Big. And I don't want to hear about, no, I don't want to snitch, I don't want to rat, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
You know those rare freeze-frame moments in hip-hop when someone says something so reckless, so tone-deaf, the entire culture just stops and stares? Yeah, it happened again. And this time, it wasn't a clout-hungry rookie or some forgotten executive chasing relevance. It was Mace and Camron, architects of an era, voices people still listen to. And in less than 24 hours, they didn't just look careless, they got completely erased by someone they treated like an afterthought. Gene Deal didn't debate them, he didn't posture, he didn't trade jokes, he dismantled them, calmly, surgically, turning legends into schoolboys caught with trembling hands and nowhere to hide. The coldest part? They handed them the blade themselves. Because when you joke about the night the Notorious B.I.G. was taken, and worse, you joke about it wrong, the culture doesn't debate. There's no appeal, no grace, just a public reckoning. And this one played out in real time, cameras rolling, mics hot, and the whole internet watching in stunned silence.
But I heard some things and I saw some things that was disturbing to me. That somebody sent me the video, I looked at it, and it was Cam and Mace, and here they go laughing again about the security the night Big lost his life, which was disturbing to me.
So, was Gene Deal just lucky, or did he know more than he's ever admitted? Because a man doesn't say something like that unless he's heard whispers, seen pieces shift, understands the players, the stakes, the whole board. And if he's been holding this for 27 years, waiting for the right moment to speak, then we have to ask, what changed? Why now? Why this sudden eruption, this public reckoning, this urgency to set the record straight? Unless the record isn't only about Biggie's death, unless it's about something bigger, someone still alive, still powerful, still pulling strings. Now let's talk about what came after. While the world mourned Biggie, while funerals were planned and tributes poured in, Diddy didn't just survive, he thrived. Bad Boy became an empire, he became untouchable. Year after year, as questions grew louder, theories wilder, FBI files sealed tight, Diddy kept moving, kept building, kept winning, until now, until arrests, until lawsuits, until the world started asking the same questions Gene Deal has been hinting at for decades. Coincidence? Or is this the moment the past finally catches up? The moment the monsters we helped create turn on their makers? And then there's Maze, the man who turned tragedy into a punchline on a podcast, now caught in a storm he never saw coming. Because if Deal is right, if Maze knew more than he's admitted, then he's not just lying, he's complicit. Maybe not in court, but in conscience, the kind that follows you, haunts you, wakes you up at night wondering whether that sound outside is just the wind or something worse. And if Gene Deal's warnings mean anything, Maze might want to start watching his back, because men like Deal don't just talk, they move. But zoom out for a second. This isn't just about one night in Los Angeles. It's about the culture, about how pain becomes content, tragedy turns into memes, legends into punchlines, about how power rewrites history while the truth gets buried under laughter and noise. And if Gene Deal is finally ready to dig it up, then this isn't the end of a feud. It's the beginning of something much bigger, something that could rewrite everything we think we know about that night, those men, and the industry that made them and broke them. So where does that leave us? With more questions than answers, because that's how these stories always go. But this time, the questions aren't just about who pulled the trigger, they're about why, about who gave the order, about who stood to gain, and most importantly, who's been protecting them all this time. Because if there's one thing Gene Deal just reminded everyone, it's this: the truth was never gone. It was hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to surface. And if you think this is just another conspiracy, another bitter rant, ask yourself, why would Gene Deal, a man who lived in the shadows, suddenly step into the light? Why risk everything to call out Maze, to challenge Diddy, to reopen a wound that's haunted him for decades? Unless he's not just talking, unless he's proven it, unless he has the receipts. And if he does, then this isn't just about careers falling apart. This is about one of hip-hop's darkest secrets, waiting nearly 30 years to be exposed.
And the reason why it was disturbing with me because I was there and I know exactly what happened.
But Gene Deal doesn't stop with Suge Knight or the LAPD. His finger keeps moving until it lands on the one person who was supposed to be Biggie's family, the man riding in the car ahead that night, the man Deal says was actually the target, Diddy. Let that sit for a second. According to Deal, the gunman allegedly mistook Biggie's vehicle for Diddy's. That's not random chaos, that's a mistake. And mistakes like that suggest the mission was never about Biggie to begin with. It was about removing the boss, the architect, the one Deal claims had grown cold, volatile, someone who needed to be checked. And if that's true, then Biggie's death wasn't just collateral damage. It was a message, a brutal reminder that no one, not even the loudest voice in the world, is untouchable when they're standing too close to the wrong power. And don't forget what Deal says he told Biggie that night, face to face. If you walk into that party, one of y'all isn't making it out alive. That wasn't fear, that was foresight. And within hours, that warning became reality.
F with me for, and it's still F with me when I hear his music, it's still F with me because you was around and you was a part of hip hop greatness. And to see that kid go out like that, when he has so much love, man, yo, when Big was showing me his contract and talking to me about his artists and everything like that, and we was laughing.
A trail that leads to a name most people brush past, Amir Muhammad. Not a street rumor, but a figure tied to corrupt LAPD officers. A man alleged to have been behind the wheel of the car that pulled up next to Biggie that night. According to former FBI agent Phil Carson, multiple sources identified Muhammad as the shooter. And this is where the picture tightens. Muhammad wasn't operating alone. He was the godfather to the children of David Mack, an LAPD officer deeply entangled in the Rampart scandal. A scandal built on dirty badges, bought silence, and corruption so thick it makes you question how justice ever survived in that city. Now line it all up. If the shooter was connected to crooked cops, and those cops had known ties to Suge Knight's death row circle, and Suge had every motive imaginable to want Diddy, and by extension Biggie, removed, then this stops looking like random violence. This starts looking organized, planned, executed, and buried with precision. The kind of cleanup that only happens when insiders are positioned to make sure the right people never ask the wrong questions.
He tells me that Puff is not getting any more security. I said, wow. So the part where you was talking about I didn't have to go, I never spoke to Puff about what Unique told me because I had spoke to Chaz Williams a day after that. And Chaz Williams said, yeah, I'm hearing like...
But pull back for a second, because this isn't just about Diddy's ambition or industry pressure. This goes back to the night the timeline cracked and the people who sensed it before it happened. Remember that celebrity basketball game? The one where Mace and Stevie J were allegedly warned by Crips that Diddy and Biggie had targets on their backs? That warning didn't die there. Mace took it to Gene Deal, and according to Deal, he took it straight to Diddy as well. Here's where it gets disturbing. Biggie never heard a word. So ask yourself, why would a man who later claimed he was barricaded inside a hotel room surrounded by 70 Bloods, saying he was being hunted, stay silent about a warning that could have saved his brother's life? unless he was told to stay quiet, unless someone with influence, someone with reach, made it clear that Biggie's outcome was already locked in. Deal has been hinting at this for years, talking about security being paid to relax, about the driver hitting the gas instead of pulling away, about protectors breaking formation and running. And if even part of that is true, then this wasn't chaos. This wasn't coincidence. This was a calculated move, one that relied on silence, cooperation, and far too many people choosing not to see what was right in front of them. And now the focus has to shift to the shooter. Because while the internet stayed distracted by Mace's stories and Diddy's shadow, the FBI paperwork tells a very different story.
I lost my freedom behind Tupac dying. I lost business. I lost house, a whole lot of shit. I lost my freedom.
Now listen closely to how Gene Deal talks about Diddy today. Not as a mogul, not as a hitmaker, but as something shaped, molded by the industry itself. He doesn't throw that language around casually. He explains it like someone who watched the transformation happen in real time. This wasn't organic. This was designed. When he says they made him, he's pointing straight at the same machine that chews up talent and manufactures power. Andre Harrell, Russell Simmons, Clive Davis, heavy names, untouchable figures, and every one of them carrying long shadows. Deal isn't ranting here. He's laying out a blueprint, one that circles back to the question nobody's ever had the courage to ask out loud. What if Biggie's death wasn't just bad luck? What if it was the cost of survival in an industry where loyalty becomes liability, where dominance means removing anyone who might one day stand taller than you? And if that's the reality, then the real question becomes simple. Who actually benefited when the Notorious B.I.G. was no longer in the picture?
Well, all due respect to Puffy, you gotta realize one thing. He didn't start off like that. I'm quite sure somebody taught him that.
Start with the documentary. Not a random YouTube theory, but a professionally produced piece where Gene Deal sits down and says it plainly. Diddy may have played a role in Biggie's death. Not as the shooter, that's not what he's claiming, but as the reason the dominoes fell. Deal describes Diddy in those final days as nervous, restless, pressuring Big to cancel a London run, insisting he stay back for a party that, by Deal's own account, was a setup. One of y'all is going to die tonight. Those are the words he says he told Biggie, and still they went. So why would a man like Diddy, built on control, optics, and self-preservation, suddenly move so recklessly? Unless he knew something nobody else did. Unless he believed the bullets weren't meant for Big at all. Deal was fired before for cooperating with the FBI over that night. Was that random fallout? Or did he wander too close to a truth someone with real power couldn't afford to let surface?
He was, I think, understanding clearly what had happened, and I think she was starting to see that other people were responsible than who she previously had believed based on the Russell Poole nonsense.
And then there's the Crips warning, the one Mace and Stevie J heard at that basketball game. They want Diddy and Big gone. That message didn't disappear. Mace carried it to Gene Deal, carried it to Diddy, but according to Deal, it never reached the Notorious B.I.G. No warning, no chance to reroute, no chance to lay low and survive. So ask yourself, why does someone sit on information like that? Why hold a life or death warning unless there's a reason? Unless someone told you to stay quiet? Unless someone stood to gain from Big taking those bullets instead of Diddy? And once you start pulling that thread, once you examine who benefited most from Biggie's death, who controlled security, who had the influence to make people suddenly stop seeing things, the picture sharpens, and it gets darker by the second. But slow down, because the real mystery isn't just what Mace knew, it's what Gene Deal witnessed, and even more chilling, what he still hasn't said. A man doesn't wait 27 years to detonate a truth like this unless he's holding more rounds. And if Gene Deal is finally decided to unload, this isn't just the fallout from a tasteless joke. This is the peeling back of one of hip-hop's bloodiest nights. And trust this, nobody is ready for what comes next, because Gene Deal doesn't speak just to make noise. When he talks, it's to protect something sacred or drag something buried into the light. If you've really listened to him over the years, it becomes clear this was never about Mace's stories or Cam's silence. It's about a name that's hovered over Biggie's murder for nearly 30 years, a name whispered behind closed doors, a name most people were too afraid to say out loud.
I knew that somebody was going to die that night. Somebody was going to get shot.
But the sharpest wound wasn't even the revelations. It was what came after, the silence. Mace suddenly couldn't finish a sentence, and Camron, the undisputed king of quick comebacks, the guy whose whole reputation is built on never staying quiet, disappeared completely. No tweets, no response tracks, not even a weak reach a week later, just nothing. Because when Gene Deal speaks, there's no back and forth, there's deletion. What made it colder was his tone. He wasn't angry, he sounded disappointed, like a father realizing his sons chose the easy way out, like a soldier watching his unit abandon the line. And when he calmly asked, "You wanted that top spot, didn't you?" That wasn't shade, that was a line that lodges in your ribs, the kind that makes you wonder what else he's holding back, what truths are still buried, and how far he's willing to go if pushed. While the internet looped clips, fired memes, and screamed, "Oh snap," most people missed the real motive. Gene Deal wasn't chasing views, he wasn't chasing clout. He spoke because he's one of the last living witnesses. He was there, he saw the blood, he ran after the car. He's carried that night for 27 years. So when he sees Mace and Cam laughing, turning that pain into content, he doesn't see legends, he sees scavengers. And scavengers don't get warnings, they get dealt with. But here's where it turns dangerous. Deal didn't show up empty-handed. He came with receipts. And those receipts don't stop with Mace and Cam, they spread outward. The way he spoke about Diddy in that documentary, suggesting he may have played a role in Biggie's death, calling him a monster the industry helped create, that wasn't casual talk, that was decades of restraint cracking. And once he starts lining up the details, Diddy's nervous energy that week, the last-minute plan changes, the sudden lack of security right before pulling up, you're forced to ask the question nobody wants to touch. Was Biggie's murder just bad timing? Or was it something far uglier, something engineered, something everyone allowed?
I know Jake. Jake gonna get down where he mad at, or take it to a place where they can get down and ain't nobody can break it up, you know? So I get over there. It's Jake. There's another dude I know named Wolf.
Birdman's face told the whole story, frustration bubbling over as the verses rapped. He grabbed the mic and launched into a rant that instantly had the internet buzzing. It wasn't just the tone, it was what he said. He directly called out Turk from the Hot Boys, who was missing that night. And this wasn't playful stage talk, this felt personal. With millions watching, the tension was impossible to miss. Turk didn't stay quiet either. He jumped straight to social media and fired back, reigniting their long-running tension in real time. But what happened after the show is what really sent everything over the edge. That night was supposed to be Birdman's victory lap, a reminder that Cash Money Records was still powerful. Despite lawsuits, fallout, and artists leaving and returning, Birdman wanted to prove he was still that guy. Instead, he had to sit and watch No Limit dominate, watch Snoop Dogg steal the spotlight with records not even tied to his label, and hear the crowd keep talking about the absence of Wayne and Turk. For someone who built his image on winning and being untouchable, this was the last thing he wanted.
knew he was dead.
You already knew.
I already knew when we pulled him out the car, and I know people going, you know, because you know how the internet is. Yo, you didn't have to say that. When he had soiled himself, let me just put that way, and I grabbed him, and you had the stent, I dropped his leg, man. It's like all my strength had left my body.
It started like any routine internet moment. Mace and Camron relaxed on their podcast, laughing, tossing slick jokes about that night in Los Angeles. You already know the one. The night history split in two. The night Biggie was shot. The night security allegedly failed. The night that still haunts hip-hop like a ghost nobody can put to rest. And there they were, laughing, talking about security crying in the car like it was a punchline, like a skit, like content, like entertainment, not like the night their brother was murdered in cold blood. Then Cam lets the line fly. Mace, say the names. In their heads, it was harmless. Another clip, another viral moment. Two veterans chasing views, forgetting what consequences actually look like. But here's where they misjudged everything. Gene Deal never forgot that night. As the clip spread and the laughter replayed across every feed, he didn't rush online. He didn't diss, he didn't argue, he stayed quiet. And when he finally spoke, it wasn't to debate, it was to bury them.